In today's video, we are talking about how to be brave and set a boundary with, that's right, your mother-in-law. Now, if you haven't joined me before, my name's Belle Lockerbie. I'm a speaker, an author, and a transformational coach. And today's question on how to be brave and set a boundary with your mother-in-law has come in from a viewer called Stacey. So yay, thank you, Stacey. If this is a subject or a topic that is familiar to you, or you know someone who struggles with setting boundaries and having brave conversations, please feel free to type relatable in the chat below, and remember to hit that like and subscribe button so that I can help more women stand up, speak up, and start over in business and in life with courage. So Stacey writes, "Hi Belle, I've been watching your videos on values and the power of words. How do I speak up to my mother-in-law and keep her still feeling loved? She has some approaches that are different to me, especially when it comes to speaking in front of my daughter, and I'm conscious of what my daughter is learning. She's only 4 in kindergarten, and I'm really conscious that she's going to be picking up things where maybe our parenting styles are different. Please help." Okay, so thank you, Stacey, for sharing that. And I'm sure that if you have children, or maybe you've observed this, that it's a topic that you can relate to when it comes to setting some boundaries around how we are parenting our children and how we're getting support for that. Now, the wonderful thing with grandparents, and I want to reiterate this before I get in case she watches it, Judy, I think you're amazing. I have no doubt that if you and I ever need to have a conversation together, it will be done with compassion and with kindness. And that's one of the ways that I would suggest that you approach, Stacey, this conversation with your mother-in-law. Now, the first thing to remember is to look at the stage and stage of life and purpose that your mother-in-law may be going through. She may have a lot of free time on her hands. She may be busy at work. So really think about where she's going and how she's seeing her role as a grandparent and part of your bigger family in raising your child. So it might be that when you're talking to her about these things, you may kick off some conversations to say, "I'd really value your support in parenting." Before we get to that conversation, it's important to maybe remember why they may be approaching things this way and what's their value and the definition of it that's coming through, because we are going to have generational difference. For example, maybe your mother-in-law has grown up in a household where talking about all things, and it can be cultural as well, is completely acceptable. Whereas some cultures, they might be fairly quiet. I know I've got friends in Asian countries where there are certain things around emotions that they just don't speak about. Understanding those differences, whether it's from family values and upbringing, or generational, or even culture, is really important, because I'm sure that they still want the best for your child, and they may be speaking that way because they feel safe and comfortable to be themselves and to do so. So their intentions are probably really good, but they may not necessarily understand the impact and how it's actually not the same as how you want to raise your child. So here's what you could do, and I can relate to this. I've had to set boundaries with friends, for example, in the past, where they have come, they've been full-time mums. I've actually been working from home while I was still in corporate. And because I was at home, they thought that that was an invitation to just call in unannounced. Now, I had to set a boundary to say, "I really want to spend time with you and value you, but for me to work in integrity, I can't see you between 9 and 5 p.m. I can catch up with you on my lunch break though, but I don't feel comfortable in you just popping in, because then I feel like I'm not doing my job and I'm not being a really good friend to you either." The importance of having these conversations and having them with courage and integrity is you're respecting the relationship and you're respecting yourself. I think it's actually a great sign if you can have these brave conversations, because you're building trust and you're building truth and you're building kindness. You're not actually focusing more on the kindness side and then starting to basically live something that's not quite true for you, and you start sacrificing yourself. So it's around valuing you and valuing the other person in this relationship. Now, these issues can come up in lots of different areas. I know when my when the paternal grandmother of my kids, her name was Dixie, she was an amazing lady. When she was alive, we definitely had some boundary conversations, and they were always done with love and respect. Where one day I had come home after she had been looking after my daughter Abby, I'd walked into Abby's bedroom, and the curtains that were in her bedroom were completely gone, and there were these pink Dora curtains that I hated in the window. The reason that she had chosen that is because of how much she loved her granddaughter. She was thinking of her love for her grandchild. She wasn't necessarily thinking that she was doing anything wrong. So our conversation basically went along the lines of, I really appreciate that you've bought something for Abby, and I can see how much she loves her. I'd really appreciate it in future if we can have a conversation before you go and throw my curtains out, just so that we're on the same page. And it was important to set those boundaries, because then we were really clear on, how our roles were actually looking, and, where my parenting values lie. As you approach these conversations with extended family, you may want to open up with a line like this, and feel free to grab a pen or paper and type it down. I know how much you mean to our family, and I'd really value your support in how we're raising our child. It's important for me to make sure that they are learning A, B, and C. So this may be in relation to language, it may be in relation to nutrition, it may even be in relation to safety, so that you can frame it up. I know how much you love them. It's important to me that they're learning these things. They're at an impressionable age, and I would really value your support in making sure that we bring them up to learn this. I know it might be different to how you raise your kids, but I'd really love it if you could support me in how I'm raising mine. Thinking of their purpose and how you can give them purpose to be a supportive person in there is a great approach. It's much better than coming at it as confrontational and feeling like you're kind of, verbally punching them a little bit by saying, I don't want you to do any of these things. So being open and looking at how you can be more of a team and a cohesive family unit might actually work better with your approach. Now, when you're getting into having this conversation, you might want to consider your environment. From a change management perspective, our environment definitely plays a role in sending emotional signals and cues. Some things that can help in mother-in-law land might be having some music playing in the background that she really likes. It could be the scents in your home. It could be choosing a cafe if you need a more neutral setting. It could even be like whether there's flowers that she likes that you just have on the table. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're giving her flowers, because then there can be that association of, I'm getting flowers because she's going to tell me something that's going to be uncomfortable. If you just have these little subtle cues, that can actually help to make your environment much more calm and easy when your mother-in-law is coming around for that conversation. Remember, as you approach it, make it one about respect, about compassion, and about truth, and about vulnerability, because it is about having a conversation with someone who's senior. And think about, one day, if you are to become a mother-in-law, Stacey, how would you like that future daughter-in-law or son-in-law to approach you? Because what you are practicing now is stuff that may be returned to you in future. So it's always great if you can do it with love and kindness. I'm Belle Lockerbie. I hope that has been helpful for you. And if it is something that you relate to, make sure that you type relatable below, so that you know that you are not alone on this journey in setting boundaries and being brave as you speak up, step up, and start over in business and in life. Now, there's a couple of resources below if you need more help on how to have hard conversations and make them a little bit easier, including my program called Behaving Bravely. And remember, if you have a cue that you would like me to on an upcoming video, be sure to fill in the form below. Starting next week and the week after, I'll be feeding out some videos on how to write your story, because I have been getting questions on how do I publish a book and what are the technical things that sit behind it. So stay tuned for that. They will be videos that release on a Tuesday, and we'll be keeping Thursdays all for all things bravery and stepping up and starting over. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button, and if this is a video that you want to refer to later on, you may even want to save it in case you need to have a conversation that comes from the heart and is still strong with a mother-in-law in your life. I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.